How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we're going to be discussing the fastest way you can get out of debt. Did you know the average American now has up to $38,000 in personal debt, over $6,800 in credit card debt, and over $31,000 in student loan debt? But wait, there's more. The average American borrows over $32,000 for new cars and over $20,000 for used cars. And that's not even mentioning medical debt or home mortgages. If you ever find yourself in this situation or you have more debt than you feel comfortable with and you want it gone as easily and as painlessly as possible, here are the steps you will need to take. First, it's important to take inventory of what debt you have, where did it come from, and how much it's costing you. This can be done by simply making a list of everything you owe and all the balances and interest rates. This may not seem like an important first step to paying down your debt, but it can be the most difficult because it's where you begin to see the extent of your debt. Most people who are deep in debt don't normally know exactly where all the debt came from. I mean, sure, it's easy to throw the big ticket items out there like my car broke down or I had a dental expense, but chances are that's only a fraction of the total debt. Because of this, you want to begin tracking your money, and I mean really tracking everything, down to the last penny. Keep track of everything that comes into your bank account and everything that leaves. You even need to write down what you spend in cash. I know for me, when I got started tracking all of my income and expenses, I would slack off and not keep track of every last expense. This was especially true with cash transactions because it was a lot easier to forget than when I used my credit card and the purchase would appear on my statement. Keeping track of your expenses is important because when you spend $5 on a latte, then $10 at McDonald's, and $3 for a parking meter, they don't seem like large amounts. You just assume that those $3 isn't going to make a big difference and you won't end up broke over it. But when you're spending those small amounts every day, they really begin to add up over a month or a year. Now, I'm not saying you should never buy Starbucks again, but maybe instead of going to Starbucks every day, you go every other day, or maybe even just once a week to treat yourself. With the money you'll be saving from cutting back here and there, you can begin throwing more money at your debt and bringing those balances down faster. Let's say you buy one Starbucks per day and you spend an average of $5. Well, in a year, you'll be spending $1,835. But if you cut back to one Starbucks per week, then you will only be spending $260 a year. Just by doing that one thing, you have an extra $1,565 that can go towards paying down debt. Again, I'm not saying you should never drink Starbucks again, but you can make your own coffee at home and save Starbucks for that one long day. Next, you'll want to create a budget for yourself. This will be easier to do after you've begun tracking your expenses because you'll be able to point out where you've been overspending. For example, maybe you find yourself spending too much on getting soda from the vending machine at work, so instead, you buy them in bulk next time you're at the store and bring your own soda. Also, when you're out shopping, whether it's for groceries or at the mall, you should create a list of what you need and stick to that list. I mean, it happens all the time. You go to a store to buy one thing you actually need and you end up leaving with a bunch of crap you don't need. So now that you have some of the basics down, we can actually move on to paying off your debt. The two most popular methods for doing this is the debt snowball method, which was made popular by Dave Ramsey, and the avalanche method. With the debt snowball method, you will pay off your debt starting with the smallest one and ending with the largest. This method will not save you as much money on interest as the debt avalanche method will, but it does motivate you to continue paying off debt because you quickly begin to see progress and feel like you are accomplishing something. With this method, step 1 will be to list your debts starting with the one that has the smallest balance and ending with the largest balance, regardless of the interest rates. Step 2 is to make the minimum payments on all of your debts except the one with the smallest balance, which is number 1 on the list you just made. Step 3 is to pay as much as possible on your smallest balance, and then in step 4, you simply repeat the process. Now let's use some numbers to help you understand this better. Let's say you have the following debts: student loan of $12,000, credit card number 1 with a balance of $2,500, a medical bill of $1,500, credit card number 2 with a balance of $6,000, and a personal line of credit with a balance of $9,000. Using these numbers, we will list the debts from smallest to largest without paying attention to the interest rate. So at the top of the list will be the medical bill for $1,500. Then we have credit card number 1 with a balance of $2,500. Then we have credit card number 2 with a balance of $6,000. Next is the personal line of credit with a balance of $9,000. And finally, student loan for $12,000. Now let's say item 1 has a minimum payment of $45. Item 2 has a minimum payment of $50. Item 3 has a minimum payment of $55. Then item 4 has a minimum payment of $110. And finally, item 5 has a minimum payment of $130. The debt snowball method says you should make the minimum payments on all of your debts except the lowest one. For that debt, you'll pay as much as you can. Maybe the first month you pay $80, then for the second month you will do the same thing and make the minimum payments on everything except the top item. But maybe this month you work some overtime or you picked up an extra shift, so you could put $200 towards the medical expense. You will continue this until the top item on your list is paid off. Then you move on to the next item and continue until you've paid off all of your debt. The main and biggest advantage to using the debt snowball method is the psychological boost you receive. When you see debts begin to go away, it will increase your motivation to continue paying them off even if it's only the smallest debt. This strategy can also help you get a better grip on your finances and reduce your stress. By focusing on one day at a time, the snowball method eliminates worry about how to tackle all of your debt at once. Now, there are some disadvantages to using this method, and the primary one is that you can end up paying more in interest since the snowball method focuses on paying the smallest debts first versus the debts with the highest interest rates. You should take inventory of all of the debts and rates and make some rough calculations of how much more you'll end up paying if you use the snowball method, and if it's too much, then you should consider the debt avalanche method. Now, the debt avalanche method prioritizes paying off the debt that has the highest APRs or interest rate. You'll begin paying off the debt with the highest rates while making minimum payments on all of your other debt. Once you have paid off the highest interest debt, then you move on to the debt with the second highest interest rate. You will continue to repeat the process until all of the debt is paid off. The purpose of this method versus the snowball method is to help you save money by paying off the most expensive debt first. With the debt avalanche method, the first step is to list your debts, beginning with the ones that have the highest interest rates and ending with those that have the lowest rates. Step 2 is to make the minimum payments on all of your debts, except the one with the highest rate, which is number 1 on the list you just made. Step 3 is to pay as much as possible on your most expensive debt, and then in step 4, you simply repeat the process of paying the minimum on all of your debts, except the one with the highest rate, which you will pay as much as possible every month. Now let's use some numbers to help you understand this better. Let's say you have the following debts. Student loan of $12,000 with a rate of 5.3%, credit card number 1 with $2,500 and a rate of 22.7%, then a car loan of $15,000 with a rate of 3.5%. Next is credit card number 2 with a balance of $6,300 and a rate of 19.5%. And finally, a personal line of credit for $9,100 with a rate of 13.1%. Using these numbers, we will list the debts starting with the one that has the highest rate and ending with the one that has the lowest rate. So at the top of the list, we'll have credit card number 1 with a balance of $2,500 and a rate of 22.7%. Next, we have credit card number 2 with a balance of $6,300 and a rate of 19.5%. Third is the personal line of credit with a balance of $9,100 and a rate of 13.1%. Fourth is the student loan of $12,000 with a rate of 5.3%. And finally, we have a car loan of $15,000 with a rate of 3.5%. Just as you would in the snowball method, you'll begin making the minimum payments on all of the debts except the one with the highest rate, which you'll pay the most you can every month. The only difference here is that you'll be paying more towards the debt with the highest rate, not the one with the smallest balance. After your top debt is paid off, you move on to the second highest and so on until you are done paying off everything. The advantage to using the avalanche method is that you'll be saving money on interest by paying off the most expensive debts first. This is especially true if your highest rates are attached to your biggest debt. If you're only using logic and math, then the best repayment method for debt is the avalanche method. But since we're not always logical and there are psychological factors involved, you should really consider which method will work best for you. According to the Association of Consumer Research, some will have more success if they focus on smaller debt balances first. For these people, every time a balance has been paid off, they will feel a sense of accomplishment and pride, which can motivate you to stick with your debt repayment strategy. The bigger picture here is to show you how these two methods work and give you a breakdown so you can make a better choice when deciding how you're going to tackle your debt. If you're really serious about making a change and getting your debt paid off, you must stick with it over time and not just for a few days. With that being said, I hope you found this video helpful, and let me know in the comment section what method you think is best. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.